We couldn't do a panel without the king of the gods himself, Zeus Luke Evans. And this next gentleman is also playing a role that you guys know, Superman, Henry Cavill. So the first question, obviously, what is Immortals about? This is an old myth, but a new telling of it, and what approach did you guys take in bringing this to the screen?
The idea of immortality, I think every culture and everybody has a different idea of it. You have gods who, by definition, are just immortal unless they fight and kill each other. Then you have humans, that's what I was interested in, where immortality could go. You've got either people like Mickey Rourke who believe your seeds are immortality. Attila the Hun, rape and plunder, how many other children you make, your genes pass on, you're immortal. And then there's Theseus, who believes the deeds make you immortality. You do great things, and you're known forever. So, started from there, turned into something like that.
Now, Mark, you produced 300, and this movie has a distinctly different feel to it. Can you talk about when you read this material and got involved with Parsimony, and what was the vision that you guys brought to the table for the picture?
Well, when we, because Zach set the bar so high on 300, we were very cognizant of that. We read a screenplay by the Peloponnese brothers who are here today, who are true Greek Americans. And Tarsem was a filmmaker extraordinaire who I had wanted, and Johnny, my partner, wanted to work with for years. He came in with a vision of doing this movie like a Caravaggio painting strip rather than a comic strip. And the challenges were tremendous because we did not have a graphic novel or anything other than the screenplay for him to visualize the world that he wanted to create. But one of the things that really struck us was that so many of the themes in the story, particularly the one of free will and what really distinguishes mortals from immortals, we felt were really of this time now, that people would get it, and plus they would see the greatest visual style director of our times rendering this.
So, Isabel, Luke, both of you are playing gods in this film. And this morning we spoke a little bit about the challenge of humanizing these larger-than-life figures. Can you talk about approaching these roles and finding the core of somebody who is a god and not human at all?
Well, yeah, it's an interesting word, isn't it? You can't reference any human person that's been called. So you have to strip it all bare. For me, it was stripped Zeus bare and just saw what he was. He's a father, he's a king, he's a lawgiver, he's authoritative, and I used all of those factors to create a God that has flaws, he has insecurities, he loves, he cares, and he believes in this character that he plays. And that's what I wanted to hopefully bring to Zeus, so people can not just see this strong, king of the gods, but also see somebody that had lots of other layers to him.
And I think you did that really well. You made him very relatable, because it's true that your insecurities and realizing that the gods also were not perfect in a way. They were human in that way, that they do have their insecurities too. So when I was reading and researching for the role, the theme that I was finding sort of her strengths and also her weaknesses, and I guess that's what made her feel more human, or gave me a way to find the energy to embody it.
Henry, it looks like an incredibly physically demanding role, but also emotionally demanding. Can you talk about the challenge of both of those sides of the character?
Well, I think the one risk you have when you're in such a physical role is playing everything along too much of an aggressive line or an angry line. And the tricky thing was giving the softer side to Theseus, because in every man there is a softer side. It just depends on how it manifests.
So I have to ask, because I'm fascinated by this performer, and the three of you to go head-to-head with Mickey Rourke in this picture. And Mickey is such a great wild card. I'd also love to ask you about directing Mickey. But what is he like as an acting partner to get something back from him?
He's a fantastic presence alone, just to stand next to him. And so when he's playing King Imperium, to work with that is easy because he's a scary dude.
And in talking about directing it, we spoke a little bit about.
You don't direct Mickey, you just work out how to work with it.
And is that exciting then to not know exactly what you'll get each take, and does it keep you on your toes as a filmmaker?
Not particularly. I think usually when I do something, there's very few areas where you can improvise in. It probably keeps the actors on their toes because you've got Mickey, a loose cannon with a spear, wearing contacts, he can't see more than 2 feet, and he's doing things like that to you, you wake up.
Your visual style is so impressive in this picture, but listening to how you worked on The Fall, your last film, it really feels like...
If there had been more of you, I wouldn't have had more money. Sorry.
What you got performance-wise, especially the girl in that picture, is extraordinary. So, can you talk about approaching this film both visually and then to create a space for these people to play the roles that they play?
Well, that was a very personal film. I had it for 27 years and it was just like my way or no other way. On something like this, when you make a much more accessible film, I wanted to make sure I was making it that my DNA would be in the movie. So I come in with very dark coffee, and then there's Mark and everybody with a glass of milk, and they keep putting it, and somewhere in between we find the right mixture for a lot of people. So I was aware there was going to be a bit of tug and war, and I thought in the end I ended up with a film that I think so far has enough of my DNA and is highly accessible to people. Different animals. We're talking about working with a small Romanian girl that doesn't speak English, and Henry and Lou, and Isabel, a little different.
Obviously, one of the things that is going on in Hollywood right now is there is a push towards 3D for event movies, for bigger films, for grand motion pictures. For you, this is your first time working in the format. Can you talk about your approach to it and what it meant to you as a filmmaker?
It's a tool. It's like, it's a tool. You want to put the cart ahead of the donkey, and I think you'll have a problem. So for me, I'm looking at it just saying, I don't want to poke your eye with it. If I did, I'd probably make Piranha 3D, Double D, whatever it is, and I'd like to. And I do enjoy those films. But this is just a tool. And I looked at that, my style tends, I think, to go 3D because I tend to shoot tableau and not fast-cutting stuff. If you were doing the Bourne Identity movies in 3D, I think you'd be in trouble. Handy-cam and shaky-cam stuff, Lord Greengrass, as good as the director as he is, it's not made for that format. What I tend to shoot naturally just tends towards 3D, and if I had to just embrace it, and I loved it.
And Mark, as a producer, for you, was it an important choice, or was this something that you guys came to organically?
Well, first of all, I just want to say that if it's true, and you heard it here, that Tarsem wants to direct the sequel to Piranha, I have a pen right here, we can make the deal. And it's a fish pen. So, but here's what I would say. You just saw this footage in 2D, not 3D. You saw 300 in 2D, you saw Inception. Great movies and great looking movies by great masters are great movies. And so the thing we always think about is still good stories well told. The reason we amass this amazing cast, and of course Frida Pinto and Helen Lutz and Stephen Dorff and everybody else who's not here as well, is because we wanted real actors in the movie. And we shouldn't lose sight of that, and we really pride ourselves on that. And that was really as important to Tarsem as to us. The fact that nobody is sitting here with those glasses today is okay with us. I'll say though that because this movie is going to be a unique ride and it's going to be a popcorn, badass movie, it's going to be a lot of fun in 3D, and I'm glad for that we're doing it. But I will bet you that the collector's item in the long run will be the 2D version of this movie.
And by the way, mentioning Helen Lutz, I just wanted to pass along that he really wanted to be here today and tried everything. He was shooting the new Twilight until 6 o'clock this morning, and then got stuck in construction traffic on his way to the airport. So he wanted all of you to know he wanted to be here, and he's here in the spirit of peace.
Right.
Can we talk about the fight sequences in this film and the war sequences? They are just massive, it looks like. And for the performers, in shooting things like this, is it a different sort of challenge than the emotional side of this film? What was the process of shooting these unbelievable war sequences for you? And how is it just physically by the end of these things?
Well, it's physically enormously demanding, and you are exhausted after finishing it. But it's exciting, and you get to get the adrenaline going and the blood pumping without actually any threat of real death. So you got to work with some fantastic stuntmen as well. So it was a fantastic experience.
And for you, staging scenes,
I'd say fight scenes. Generally, anything that requires a lot of shouting and like "This is Mandel, I will destroy him," tends to be easy when you're doing green screens. Okay, so for me, the fighting sequences, I think it was very physically hard for them. But when it comes to smaller, intimate scenes, if you've got a green screen, it's just the devil kills you, the details there. Because intimate scenes require intimate objects in closer places. And there, I think, they did an incredible job. For the fighting, big screens were okay, and unfortunately, I started with Caravaggio Reach Fight Club because I kind of laid down the rules of physics in this film, that they would be more like Fight Club or Old Boy, or just something like they fought. You could feel there was physicalness involved. It's not involved with, let's say, I kept saying the gods to me are like flying squirrels. They can jump from up 10,000 feet down, not get hurt, they're not going to fly up. So Batman, I know how to do. Superman, I don't know. I don't know how you break the rules of physics. So once we laid those down in the action, it became a lot more visceral, and I'd say very difficult for them, but awesome.
And for you, it looks like the whip is your at least one of your weapons of choice in the film.
Yeah, he has a few. Yeah, I remember when Tarzan told me I was going to use the whip. I couldn't really imagine what he was going to look like, because obviously when we shot it was just a little bit of rope in green. But it looks awesome. No, we shot it at 500 frames a second or something, so when they played it at normal speed.
He's very good with whips and chains.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Thanks, man.
If there was anything in this picture that you found really demanding or difficult to approach as a director, or was this something where the moment you had your vision and you started to put it together, it really fell into place?
Number 2.
Oh, really?
I think the difficult thing in always something like this is to get to make a movie like this. And I think once you get there, it's actually much easier than all the student projects you could ever want to do. So for me there, you have no money, you have no support, you have no nothing, on something that is half your trouble, but just to say, this is what I want to do. Do you agree? If they agree, then most of the battles are done, unless people are lying.
We would actually like to throw some questions out to the audience now, give them a chance to talk to you guys. So I guess we're going to start